privilege of inviting a gentleman who we've worked together with. So the Capital Markets Authority runs a program called the Investor Resource Persons. We think you people are investors, and so we reach out to different communities. And so we work with Martin Owinyi. Martin Owinyi is going to come and speak with us. He has a wealth of experience, over 20 years experience. He's served in different opportunities. He has been able to invest on behalf of people in different organizations. He's now serving on different boards. Right now, he is the Executive Director of Jomo Investments, which helps people manage their finances. But also today, in his capacity, he comes to speak to you with experience, with knowledge, with passion, which is the most important thing. Martin Owinyi, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm seeing everybody being told stand somewhere now. It looks like I'm too tall for this. Thank you. DVC, Dr. Olive Sabiti, on behalf of the VC who we met here today, it's a big pleasure to be here. Dr. Faith Ahabiona, Senior HR, staff of Cavendish University, the deans present here today, my fellow colleagues within the industry, also seated behind there. It's a big pleasure to be here today. Martin Owinyi is my name. I just needed to get clarity. How many minutes do I have? Sanya, I hope you heard that. Does that include the Q&A?
No, we'll leave that 10 minutes for Q&A.
10 minutes for Q&A. So I can see a lot of movement. They're probably going to change that, but do let me know. How many? It's okay? Okay, let's proceed. I do believe there is a presentation, and I have a laptop in front of me. I would like to request that we can bring up that presentation, if that is okay. It's on. As we prepare to enable screen, there are two key products that I'm going to be talking about today. And those products that I'm going to talk about are shares and unit trusts. Turn to your neighbor and say he's going to talk about two products, shares and unit trusts. Some of you are so shy, yet you're sitting next to a fellow student, a fellow staff member. I'm going to talk about shares and unit trusts. Why do I say that? Because when I'm making the presentation, sometimes people get mixed up, okay? So I would like to request that you write down shares on one page and unit trusts on another page, so that when you ask me questions, you are asking about shares or you're asking about unit trusts. I'm also going to be involving my colleagues here today. Some of them have already made the presentations, and I'm going to be involving them inside the presentation. So when we talk about capital markets, one key thing comes out, and capital markets actually has a history in Uganda. I like the fact that somebody who stood here said 1996. And some of you are saying, guess where I was in 1996? You know, I like that laugh, because many of us actually were not even there. You get the idea. But in the 1990s, there was a bank called Greenland Bank. And Greenland Bank made an announcement. And that announcement was all over TV. That time we even had black and white TVs. You get the idea. I'm not saying there were no color, but there was black and white TV at that time. So let me just see if I can get this in the right place. So what did Greenland Bank announce? They said Greenland Bank is selling shares. Come to Greenland Bank Towers, which is Cairo Bank Towers now, room number 101 on the first floor, and buy shares. A lot of Ugandans rushed there and bought shares. Soon after that, Greenland Bank collapsed. And there was a massive outcry. And part of that outcry was directed to Bank of Uganda. And Bank of Uganda was being asked, that time there was no social media. So it was all over the newspapers. People were asking, Bank of Uganda, how can you allow Greenland Bank to do what? To sell shares when you knew they were about to collapse. And Bank of Uganda stood up very boldly and said, no, the aspect of buying and selling shares is not given to Bank of Uganda. There is actually an authority that has been legislated by Parliament to supervise the buying and selling of shares. Okay, so I'm still on your page of shares. Okay, so please keep that page open. I've not yet come to unit trusts. We will open another page. So what happens at the end of the day? Bank of Uganda says no, it's Capital Markets Authority that is responsible for the buying and selling of shares. At that time, Capital Markets Authority had not started its operations. When it started its operations, a few rules came into place. Number one, should you wish to sell shares to the Ugandan public, you need a license from Capital Markets Authority. Number two, no more calling people that come to Greenland Bank Towers, Stanbic Bank Towers, Centenary Bank Towers. No. You now go to the Uganda Securities Exchange. Are we together? So what happens with the Uganda Securities Exchange is many of us are wondering, where is that market? How does it work? You know, do they sell tomatoes? Do they sell matoke? You know, because people can call it Uganda Stock Market. Are we together? At the Uganda Securities Exchange, shares are bought and shares are sold. When I say I am selling a share, what am I saying? I'm selling a unit of ownership in a company. Are we together? A unit of ownership in a company. If I'm selling a unit of ownership, many of you in your econ notes, what did you write there? You said it's a unit of capital. Why is it a unit of capital? Because I need money to buy a share. And another name for money is capital. So money is leaving my pocket and going to purchase a share. So I now have a unit of capital. Why am I looking for a unit of capital? I'm looking for a unit of capital because Ronald called it passive income, patient income. I want to purchase a share in MTN because every day I am giving MTN money. How am I giving them money? I'm buying airtime. Yeah? And other times I'm receiving money from my family. Are we together? Now, that money doesn't come free. I could have gotten, in our days, you'd get on a bus and you'd all be marching to where? To the bus station to say that there's a conductor who has come with my money. Now it just comes on your mobile phone. So that has to be charged. So every day, money is being given to MTN. Now, when Ronald says that this is patient income, what he's actually saying is for me to buy a share in MTN, and those shares are still available, so you can still buy. Are we together? I am actually saying that I like the management of MTN. I like the way they do their business. I may not be an employee of MTN, but when I get a share of MTN, a unit of capital in MTN, I am now saying that when MTN is dividing their profits, give me some. Are we together? Patient capital. I am waiting for them to divide their profit, but because I'm a shareholder, I will get some of that profit. Number two, there are two reasons why I buy a share. Number two, I am buying a share for the standard reason my auntie takes matoke to the market every day. What is that? Buy at a low price in order to sell at a high price. So there are two reasons why I buy shares. Participate in the profit of that company. Okay? Number two, buy at a low price in order to sell at a high price. And many of you may be looking and saying, but this shares thing, it seems it's like close to rocket science, because when I see people on in these movies, you see guys on the stock exchange and they're waving their hands and they're moving around a floor, and it looks like, man, that thing looks so complicated. What's that guy saying? It's simple. In the news today, go and watch the news. You know, in the news, what happens? They read news, then they get to business news. And business news remains interesting until they get to a part when they start showing you figures. Are we together? Eh? And those of us who are not interested in sports, we say, it seems news has ended. Today, go and check. When you see a green arrow pointing up, that day or today, whichever day you see that green arrow, the share price went up. Are we together? Red arrow pointing down, the share price went down. When you see an amber line, that share price did not change that day. So green, the price went up. Red, the price went down. Amber, the price did not change. Another name for amber is orange. Now, why is that important? Because when I buy a share, I want to ensure I'm buying at a low price in order to sell at a higher price. Are we together? Number two, patient capital. That's what Ronald called it. I want to participate in the profit of MTN. I may not have a chance to be a worker of MTN. I may not have a chance to be a manager of MTN. But when MTN, which is Uganda's most profitable company, are we together? They turned over 2 trillion last year, 2021, and declared profit in excess of 350 billion. Now, who doesn't want to share in that profit? How do I do that? I buy a share in MTN. And how much is a share in MTN? Anita, today what's the price? 180. Okay. So you can imagine she's not saying 180,000. She's actually saying 180 Uganda shillings. If I wanted to buy MTN shares, Anita, how many do I need to buy and how much does that equate to? Okay, in MTN that equals how much? 18,000. Now, how many of you have at least 18,000 in your pocket? Together. Okay? Yeah. I notice some of you are shaking your head. Eh? You're saying, Martin, I'm a student. Eh? It's okay. You can raise 18,000 and buy MTN shares. So many of the people here have been saying that when I was a student, I wish I had bought. So your next 20K, make sure you get some of the numbers behind there, okay? Because they can actually help you purchase a share. Now, I want to make, in this industry, we do what you call declaration of interest. I am an agent with everybody who is participating here, except for SBG, who I will soon become an agent with. Therefore, meaning that all the business done out of these presentations actually ensures that I get a commission. So it's important I declare that to you, because as far as this program is concerned, when capital markets said go out and talk to Ugandans about shares, they said when you go like an evangelist. Okay? Now, you know an evangelist, what do? After preaching, they say, those of you who would like to receive the Lord Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, please do what? Put up your hands. I'm going to pray for you. So the prayer is when you go to those people and they pray for you and buy shares for you. Okay? Excellent. Yeah, so let's kick off the presentation. And what happens? There is what is called the financial markets in Uganda. Okay? When you talk about the financial markets in Uganda, you have to talk about Bank of Uganda. Why? Bank of Uganda is the institution that supervises commercial banks. Okay? If I walk out of Cavendish University and I walk to the left, I'm going to bump into so many banks. If I walk to the right, I'm walking in town and I'm going to be bumping into so many banks. And what's the value of the money being supervised in these commercial banks? 32 trillion Uganda shillings. Are we together? 32.7 trillion Uganda shillings. That's the commercial banking industry. Now, apart from that, on the far left and also on this side, on the far left, you'll see something there called UBRA. That is Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. Are we together? Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. Now, all these are partners in the financial markets of Uganda. Now, when you talk about Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority, they're supervising the retirement schemes in Uganda. Anybody heard about pensions? Provident fund, you know? Some of you, your uncle arrives every 3 times in a year to go to where? Public service in Wandegea. And what is he saying? I'm going to pick my pension. Are we together? Now, that industry is supervised by Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. It looks after about 19 trillion Uganda shillings. Now, when you look at the retirement benefits industry, it's one of the fastest growing industries in Uganda today. Mobile money and retirement benefits and data, okay, on your phone. Those are some of the fastest growing industries in Uganda. Are we together? Growing at 20%. If they keep up that pace, in the next 5 to 10 years, they're actually going to be bigger than the commercial banking industry in Uganda. Then you have the Insurance Regulatory Authority. The Insurance Regulatory Authority is looking after anything to do with insurance, from your third party of the vehicle you drive or the motorcycle that you ride, up to life insurance for different individuals. Then Capital Markets Authority, looking after 8.5 trillion Uganda shillings. What are they responsible? When it comes to buying and selling shares or financial assets such as unit trusts and shares. Are we together? What is happening here? Who is the regulator? Capital Markets Authority. And many of you are going to ask me, so Capital Markets Authority and Uganda Securities Exchange, what is the difference? Uganda Securities Exchange is where I go when I want to buy and sell shares. I no longer call you to my office. I go to a market. It's called the Uganda Stock Exchange, Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, at the Uganda Securities Exchange, shares are bought and shares are sold. It is part of the capital markets, okay? Supervised by Capital Markets Authority. Now, when you talk about capital markets, what are you talking about? You're talking about the market where companies go to raise capital. Are we together? The market where companies go to do what? Raise capital. Now, if I want to raise capital, what do? I sell a share. I tell you, look, at the end of the day, do you like the way I'm running my company? Yes, I do. Do you want to share in some of the profits of MTN? Yes, I do. Then what do? Buy a share, okay? That is what they call a public listing, okay? This is not private where we sit in a room. This is for all and every Ugandan, or all and every person who can prove their identity, okay? And I want to be careful about that because we've been alerted that most of this university are actually non-Ugandan. So please forgive me if you hear me say Uganda, Uganda, Uganda. I also mean that if you have a passport, you can buy a share. Are we together? So don't feel like I'm leaving you out, okay? You can actually purchase a share. Now, when you purchase a share, you are purchasing a unit of ownership. And what is happening, money is leaving your pocket and going into the share. Now, some of you look at Stanbic Bank and you say, oh, Stanbic Bank, this thing is so gigantic, it is so big, and those guys have all the money. And you don't realize that when you're buying a share in Stanbic Bank, the money wasn't in Stanbic Bank, it was in your pocket. It has left your pocket and gone into Stanbic Bank. What have you therefore done? You have helped Stanbic Bank raise capital. And what do they use that capital for? To run their business. And at the end of the day, give their shareholders dividend. Thank you very much. A share in their profits. And there are other products on the capital markets, but I'll build into that in order not to confuse you. So, at the end of the day, when you are on the capital markets, you are able to say, look, I'm interested in buying a share. And if I go to capital markets and I say, look, I've come to buy a share, they'll tell me, sorry, we deal with the public through intermediaries. Are we together? Yes, because we are a regulatory body. Go to the Uganda Securities Exchange. Are we together? The Uganda stock market, if you want to buy a share. And you boldly walk into the Uganda stock market. It's located at UAP Business Park. And you tell them, I've come to buy a share. And sorry, they'll also tell you that, sorry, we don't deal with the public directly. We deal with the public through our commercial banks, okay? Our commercial banks are called stock brokers, okay? So Stanbic Bank is a stock broker. Bank of Baroda is a stock broker. UAP Financial Services is a stock broker. Sanlam, are you a stock broker? Okay. I'll come to Sanlam and Britam after this. Yeah. As I said, I declared my interest. I deal with all these people. I do business with them. Yeah. So at the end of the day, when I do that, ICA, are they stockbrokers? ICA, are they here? Have they walked out? They've walked out? They're not stockbrokers, but are they here? Okay, wave at me, ICA. Wave. Okay, thank you. So, when I go, why are they saying go through a stockbroker? Because they're trying to say that this is a public trading of shares, okay? That means when I want to sell, somebody may say, you know, I have a car, and when I'm selling to my brother, okay? So I don't want anybody else to do what? Buy my car. And now somebody will say the same thing with my shares. I want my shares to go to my mother. Are we together? It doesn't work like that on the stock exchange. You float, you declare, I am selling. At what price? At 180. Are we together? Another one will say, I'm not ready to buy at 180. I'm ready to buy at 170. Are there any buyers at 180? Somebody will then say, yes, I'm there. And it's first come, first served. Are we together? Yeah. So, at the end of the day, what happens? You are able to do that with a host of shares, okay? And these are some of the shares that are floated on the Uganda Securities Exchange. I must ask you, do share prices always go up? How many say they always go up? Share prices always go up. Hands up. How many say they do not always go up? Okay, at least I can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, Samuel Sanya, are you here? I can see 4 guys. Put up your hands, you 4 guys. Okay, at least you had the boldness to say, Sanya, do you have some t-shirts for these guys? They have had the boldness to vote. Okay? You can see others are entering the vote. Yeah. So, what am I trying to say? Share prices do not always go up. Let's pick one of these. One, just to give you an example. Uganda Clays. Uganda Clays in the year 2000 was the first company to float shares on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Each share was 4,000 Uganda shillings. That share price rose up, you can imagine, it rose to 250,000 Uganda shillings. I personally know people who at that point transitioned from being millionaires to billionaires. Are we together? And what was Uganda Clays doing? Selling the traditional product. Key among them is the roofing tile. And of course, when you're making so much money, part of the indication is that your share price will go up. And Uganda Clays began to say, wow, it looks like we have the world at our disposal. What else can we do? And what did they decide to do? They said, why don't we expand? And they borrowed money from the banks and expanded to Kamunkoli in Mbale. And as you're driving into Mbale, who do you see on the left? Uganda Clays. And what did they say? We're going to Eastern Uganda to open up an export market for Uganda Clays products. And as soon as they arrived in Eastern Uganda, Kenya Clays also arrived in Western Uganda. So Uganda Clays is there saying, we want to sell, but we can't sell to Kenyans because Kenya Clays is where? In Western Kenya. So they said, okay, I think let's sell to the Sudanese. Okay? And they said, let's give this product to Southern Sudan. There's a lot of productivity out coming into Southern Sudan. Business growth is high. And everybody who's coming from Mombasa passes through Mbale on their route to Juba, Tolit, and all that kind of thing. And shortly thereafter, Southern Sudan went to war. Now, when you go to war, do you continue constructing? Uganda Clays has borrowed money, can't pay the banks, looking for a product. So if Kenyans can't buy, South Sudanese can't buy, who will buy? Ugandans, yours truly. So they turn to Ugandans and say, look, there's a product here for you. And Ugandans look at the product. There was a problem with some of their machines. There was a black soot coming onto some of the products. And what do Ugandans say? This one doesn't look like Kajansi. We're going to Kajansi to buy Uganda Clays. Evidently, what happens? Profitability goes down. If profitability goes down, share price also goes down. And as it goes down, fortunate for them, Uganda's, East Africa's biggest retirement scheme is the National Social Security Fund of Uganda. They come in and say, guys, we're taking over this situation. We're going to give you loans to finance your going forward. And you don't need to pay us in installments, just pay interest for 5 years. Thereafter, whatever we are putting you is going to become our shares in Uganda Clays. Okay? Now, as a result of that intervention, Uganda Clays has now moved, and their latest profitability exceeded, is it 2 billion? Their latest books, Sanlam. What was the latest? Uganda Clays in excess of 2 billion. Am I right, Ronald? Yeah. They are now making money. And as they make money, the share price will also start to rise, if they can maintain that, okay? So share prices do not always go up, okay? Now, at the end of the day, I said I will talk about two products. I have talked about shares, okay? Now, can you turn to the page of unit trusts, okay? So on that page, I want you to write a unit trust is equal to a collective investment scheme. A unit trust is equal to a collective investment scheme. Emma, if you cannot write, write on your mobile phone, please. Yes. A unit trust is equal to a collective investment scheme. Why do we say a collective investment scheme? Number one, because it collects investments. Are we together? Now, I'm going to pick the investment of government securities. Okay? What is a government security? A government security is a loan to government. I can actually lend to government. Okay? And some of you are saying, what? Then you must be pretty rich to lend to government. But interestingly, just like Anita said, to buy the MTN share you need 18,000. To lend to government you only need 100,000. Are we together? Now, many Ugandans don't know that. Many Ugandans don't know that. And that's why the number of accounts that are lending to government are less than 4,000. Okay? And some of these are actually foreigners coming from outside Uganda, converting from their currencies into Ugandan currency, lending to the Ugandan government, converting back and going back out. Why? The interest rates are attractive. Okay? And every 2 weeks there is actually an auction and an announcement to the Ugandan public to say, come and buy government securities. Now most of us are going to say, now Martin, me I'm beginning to get interested, but which week are we in? Are we in the are we in the second week? Is it this week? Is it last week? Or is it the week after next? Are we together? Most of us have no idea. And based on the fact that we have no idea, Capital Markets Authority comes up and says, we've solved that problem. Okay? And we have licensed people called fund managers. And some of you are wondering, how does a fund manager look? Okay? Some of them are here today. Can I please ask the fund managers to stand up so that you see how they look like? Fund managers, please stand up. Ronald is a fund manager. Which company? Britam, okay, okay. Anita? Okay. Amy? Sanam? SBG, where are you sitting? ICA, okay. Wave at us, we're asking for you. Where were you? Okay. And my favorite, SBG? Okay, they're also in the process of becoming fund managers. So another round of applause for our dean here for ensuring that all of these people come so that we can see them. Okay? Now, what happens with these fund managers? They say, look, we're licensed by Capital Markets Authority. We are the experts. We actually know which week we're in. Okay? And if you want, we'll tell you. Okay? So if you go and ask them after this, they'll actually tell you which week we are in. Okay? And then two, you'll be asking, are the rates going up or are the rates going down? They'll say, no, all that we understand and we actually study on a regular basis and will ensure you get the best rates. Actually, every 5 years, what happens to the rates in Uganda? The rates go up. And what's on the back of what? Elections. During elections, government spending goes up. And that means that they have to borrow money to finance that expenditure. And these guys will stand up, Ronald will stand up and say, me, I understand this thing, and every 5 years I ensure I buy the best for you. And when I do it in a collective investment scheme. Okay? So what will Ronald do? He will say, I will pick the best treasury bills for you, government securities. A treasury bill is a loan to government for less than 12 months. I can lend to government for 3 months. I can lend to government for 6 months. I can lend to government for 12 months. I'll put it in a collective investment scheme pool. Then he'll also stand up and tell you that, look, you know, Sanlam will say, for me, I understand that the best interest rates are actually coming out of treasury bonds. What are treasury bonds? Loans to government for more than 12 months. So 24 months, 36 months, 60 months, I can lend to government. And what will she say? Sanlam will say, I will put them into a collective investment scheme pool. Are we together? Now, when you aggregate that pool, they'll now say, you no longer have to wait for 2 weeks. Come to me when you are ready. Why? I have a pool. And that pool is mirroring the best government security rates. So, inside that pool, Ronald, if I wanted to come to your government security pool of unit trusts, I'm going to come to the definition, but let's keep it as a collective investment scheme pool. What's your interest rate now?
Our interest rate is 10.5.
10.5, okay, excellent. That's Britam. UAP, what's your interest rate now? 10.7, Sanlam, Eileen, what's your interest rate? 10.65. SBG, what's your interest rate?
Yeah, we don't have yet, but we'll soon let you know when we go.
Okay, ICA, where are they? Are they still here? Did I miss something? Okay. Okay, so you can see the rate is in the range of 10 point something. Now, when you say 10 point something, where is the treasury bill today, Ronald?
The 91 days 6%, 182 days 8, and the 64 day is 9%.
9%. So they have actually outperformed the treasury bill. The treasury bill. How did they do that? They have put together a collective investment scheme. Now most of you are asking, now that collective investment scheme that is given 10 point, how does it help me? It helps you like this. They say that now, inside this collective investment scheme, we're giving very attractive rates, even better than the government treasury bill. If you want to participate and get some of that good interest, we have broken up all the billions we have into units. Did I lose anybody there? We have broken up the billions into units. And each unit is only 100,000. If you have 100,000 and it's under your bed, or it is in the kitchen jar, and it is earning 0 interest, bring that 100,000 to us, we'll give you a good interest rate. Now, when they say that they have broken them into units, they are now telling you, if you trust us, buy our unit. Hence the name unit trusts. We're now on the page of unit trusts. A unit trust is equal to a collective investment scheme. Are we still together? We're no longer talking about shares. We're now talking about unit trusts. Remember, on shares, if I wanted to participate in the profit of a company, I'm getting dividend, okay? That is shares. Here, when I want to earn a good interest rate, I'm paid an interest rate, an interest return, not dividend. Are we together? That is a unit trust. If I want to buy and I have 100,000, I buy 1 unit. Unit trust. Okay? Now, inside that unit trust, what this graph is trying to tell us is, in the year 2013, there was only 2 billion in unit trusts. 2018, we crossed 100 billion, okay? There was 127 billion in unit trusts. But today, there's almost 1 trillion in unit trusts. What does that mean? The people who came in front here were saying that Ugandans are beginning to realize, why leave money under the pillow? Okay? Why hide it in the kitchen jar? Why don't I look for an attractive interest rate? That's why a lot of people are saying, I have 100K. I have an investment club. I would like to earn an interest on my 100,000. How do I do that? I buy a unit trust. What do I need to buy a unit trust? Sanlam. What do I need to buy a unit trust? If I had 100,000, what would you require of me in order to buy a unit trust. Okay, so what does she say? Do you have a passport? Do you have even a refugee card? Can it work? Or it has to be a passport? A refugee card, can it work?
If issued by the state.
If issued by the state, thank you. ICA is back. A round of applause for ICA. Okay? Yeah? And then also, if I have a national ID passport, I can go and buy a unit trust. Don't forget to go with your money. Okay? Yeah, don't forget to go with your money. Yes. Because what are you saying? Take my money, give me your unit. When I'm done with my unit, okay, and I'm earning interest on a daily basis, okay? Now, Anita, how does this money earn interest on a daily basis? What happens? I've never heard of, you know, interest upon interest, what do they call that in mathematics? Somebody is saying board maths. No, it is compounded interest, okay? Compounded interest. Yes, Anita, how do I get compounded interest? How does it work? What Anita is saying that if you take your 100,000 every day, you actually see a figure. Money has kept coming, okay? Now, how does that differ from the fixed deposit account? If I go to a bank, I have 10 million and you have 1 million. I have 10 million, you have 1 million. Who gets the higher interest rate in a bank? It's the 10 million. It's the one with more money. So when you go for your bank interview, just tell them that the one with more money gets more interest. With a unit trust, everybody gets the same interest. Are we together? Now, every day, because people are coming with units and taking units, whenever new money comes, it must be invested and distributed that same day. So what is Anita saying is that every day, money is coming. Now, when I want to sell, okay, Ronald, this one I think should go to your colleague, Hillary, yes. When I want to sell, what's the process and how quickly can I get my money? And will I be taxed on that money? Hillary.
That's an exception. The application forms that we give you have a section where you put your bank account details, and that is a point where she needs the bank statement to verify those bank details. Yeah, we are tax exempt by the Income Tax Act, so 11% or 10.5 or 10.65 is your take home at the end of the day.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, every time we're asking for you, you are taking a call, but we're happy to see that you're here. How many options do I have? And how risky are they? If I wanted to invest, I have 100,000. And don't tell me now I have 99,000 because I gave you 100. Me, I want 110 upwards. What options do I have? And where can I make those investments as far as ICA is concerned? So talk to me about ICA.
The different options.
Yes. Yes.
I think we can run four unit trust funds. 4 different unit trust funds. And I would say they are similar but can be categorized into 2. Would you like to speak to me?
Your TV, by the way.
Let me go there. Okay, it's off now.
He's selling unit trust, don't worry.
Yes. So I'm always in touch with the clients all the time. That's why my phone is never ringing. I was saying you can categorize them into 2 options. The short-term and low-risk option. The short-term and low-risk option, where you're investing to get your money out as quickly as possible. You're looking at as short as 1 month. I can invest and get my money out. So we call that the money market fund. Purely short-term and low-risk. right? And then I can look at the other option which mixes
Give us
up.
the return per.
Pardon?
Give us the return for each of those. So when you say money market, the return is balance, the return is something like that.
Okay.
Yes.
When you look at the money market, you're looking at the return of at least 11% a year. Okay, that's on the money market fund. And then when I got the option of shares, it will depend on the market. Because when you bought shares, shares go up and down. So you'd have to quote performance maybe for the last 5 years or last 7 years. So there's a lot of volatility on it, to the extent that I won't comfortably say I'm going to give you this rate, because I can't actually be sure that I will deliver that rate. Whereas on the money market, I can actually tell you the rate that I expect to deliver. And then, so the balance fund is an option which mixes up investments. You're looking at investments done in shares, and then some investments done in bonds, or lending to Bank of Uganda, like I had explained. So basically, I can look at those two funds. The short-term option, which is low risk, and then the long-term option, which is medium risk. And basically, it's suitable for investors who are looking at investments for 3 to 5 years. Back to Bati.
Okay, thank you. A round of applause for ICA. Let me summarize what he has said. When I want to invest, I may be young and happy. Are we together? What am I therefore looking for? I'm saying I want to put my money away, but I don't want it today. Give it to me in 20, 25, 15 years. Are we together? I am on a savings project. When I am young and happy, what he's actually telling me, I look for shares. Why? Share prices go up and they go down. But after 15, 20, 25 years, many times they have done better than government securities. Are we together? Give me a unit trust that invests in shares. And in the financial world, we call that an aggressive investment. On this other side, I may be about to retire. Are we together? I'm about to hit 60. And don't play with my money, because I don't have time like somebody who has just started working. I am a conservative investor. Give me government securities, the things that Ronald was telling us about. You get the idea. Treasury bonds and treasury bills that are giving high interest rates. Are we together? That is what they call the umbrella unit trust. All these are up here, by the way. And Sandra, are we distributing this?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, yes. So the university is going to circulate that. Then somebody may say, me, I'm middle-aged. Give me a balance of the two. That's the balanced fund. A bit of shares, a bit of safe investments. Now, Terrace, what is the downside of all these things? We're here talking 11%, 10%. Is it all rosy?
As the downside, it's you trying to say that you are allowing an opportunity to ICA, to Britain, to help you manage your portfolio. You will not have access to this money every day. So you don't have control, although, unless you say clearly at the onset, do for me equities, do for me a balanced hybrid form, or do for me the money market, unless you say that clearly on the onset. But otherwise, you're literally trusting another individual. But the beauty is, this individual is licensed. That's the beauty about it. So they're licensed and ensure that they have the best interests at heart, at least from the regulator point of view. But the other thing is, I mean, like any investment, generally, for example, the equity fund, it would go down, depending on the time that you enter and the time that you exit. Okay? Those are the biggest. But also, you will also incur some small charges, very, very minimal charges that you will cover in the account.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So, shares. I hope you put that on a separate page from unit trusts. Thank you very much, Doctor. Back to you.